A rare lapse of memory is what I suffer from. Drop a coin in my mouth to see me fly to the kingdom come. You don't run away. You don't want to stay. You want to stay. You want to stay anymore. Wow. Doom, 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 doom. Good morning. How we doing? How is everyone feeling today? It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Could you be mine? Would you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you, so let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? What'd you think of that bomb cyclone? Fuck. Paul's Thanksgiving plans have been uprooted. We were planning on, there's two passes, right, in the direct route from where we are to where we want to go. One of them is the Shasta Pass, currently snowy as fuck. The other is the Siskiyou Pass, coming up out of Ashland, Oregon into Washington. That one is closed and snowy. So, and it is actually, they're pushing, there's another one coming in. So it's actually going to get worse between now and when we were supposed to be driving. So my fucking Thanksgiving plans just went. I was talking to Amelia about it, right? And here's how I put it, right? And I think that this is the best way for me to put it. It's like, okay, and I know that this is a little fucking crazy, but I've been in some insane car accidents, all right? I'm a great driver, okay? I can drive in daytime or nighttime, wind or rain, okay? The one time in my life that I have felt utterly and completely terrified and unsafe driving was when we were trapped in the Siskiyou Pass during a blizzard. Okay? And I told Amelia, I was like, look, here's my thought process, right? I'm literally, my car is going to have everything I love in it, right? My car is going to have everything I love in it. You, Dinor, Cricket. And I'm driving, which means I'm taking it upon myself to protect everything I love in that car. Now, if it was just normal weather, I never have a problem doing that, right? I never have a problem doing that. If it's a fucking blizzard over a windy ass mountain pass, I ain't doing it. I'm not risking it. Especially when they're closing the passage. I mean, that's obvious. You can't, there's no risking it anyway, right? So, those are the types of things you've got to do. I trust myself to protect people who are riding with me. And if there is a driving condition or something that I do not trust myself on, I don't have a whole lot of experience driving in active fucking snowstorms and shit. I've driven in the snow, driven in the rain and the wind, all that shit. I just, you know what I mean? You got to make a call. You got to make a call. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? What I think of Kyle Kalinski's idea of Jon Stewart running. Can I tell you exactly? And this is not just on Kyle. I think I want Kyle and everybody else on the left who was dead fucking wrong about this election to take a massive break from electoralism, center their own fucking thinking on it, and come back with some better prescriptions next year. I think that everybody that was dead ass fucking wrong about this election, dead ass fucking wrong, ought to take a good 6-8 months, figure out how the fuck they got that wrong, and come back with some better prescriptions. When it comes to electoralism, I'm not saying like Kyle stop doing his show. I'm saying Kyle stop humping electoralism when you were so fucking wrong that it's not even funny, right? And you tell me, you guys watch fucking political wonks and stuff, a lot of whom who were dead wrong about this last fucking electoral cycle. How many of those motherfuckers took a fucking breath afterwards before they moved on to, here's what we have to do now, right? Here's what we have to do now. It's like, why would I listen to you? You're the dude that just like, okay, let's say we're all at the skate park, right? And you're like, guys, guaranteed varial fucking kickflip. Guaranteed, right? You drop down into the bowl and you don't even get the fucking board off the ground. You just fall and break your elbow, right? Okay? Here's what happens. The next day you show up in a cast, all busted up, going, guys, this is a tutorial about how to do a varial kickflip. Huh? The fuck would I listen to you? Aren't you the guy that just ate shit yesterday? You know what I mean? And none of them have this like there's not enough self-awareness in electoralism anymore. It's like if every prescription that you gave was dead fucking wrong and you were absolutely 100% backwards on everything you said was going to happen, why would you open your mouth the next day to talk about next steps? Take 6 weeks. Take 6 weeks, cover normal news, and quit with the electoralist shit. There you go. That's what I think. Nobody wants to hear what the people that were dead wrong think we should do next. I really hope you're not talking shit about Trump. Get your fucking dumb ass out of here. That didn't even mention Trump, bro. Sensitive little fucking MAGA clits, bro. Sensitive, overstimulated little MAGA clits. I hope you're not shit talking Trump. Shut up, bro. Unreal. Yeah, Louise. you asked the question right at the right time. What strain? Blueberry cobbler or something like that. I can't remember exactly. It's an indica. No, sir. I was born in Michigan, and I wish and wish again that I was back in the town where I was born. No, I'm from California, bro. Hi, Paul Zigo. I wanted to show, in retrospect, after this election is over, how do you feel about Vosh post-debate? Did the election vindicate the anti-electoral perspective even more, or the same? I mean, I think I feel pretty vindicated by it. Yeah, I feel pretty vindicated by the outcome. I don't think it could have gone worse, right? Another Trump term, it really couldn't have gone worse. So I feel pretty vindicated by that. Everybody from the 313, throw your motherfucking hands up and follow me. Now, as he stands tough, everybody notice he did not put his hands up. What do you think Trump is going to do this time? Oh, man. Some crazy shit, right? I think he's going to argue with his own administration. I think he's going to throw everybody who's getting appointed right now to a position in his cabinet under the bus. I think that he's going to troll on social media. I think that he is going to spend most of his time arguing with people in his own party. I know he's going to poop himself a lot because he wears 3XL adult diapers. So he's going to be releasing liquidy fillet of fish shits into his adult diaper for 4 years. Yeah, that's my call. That's my guess. What do you think? Just wait till you're 79 or 80 diapers. Yeah, I'll be wearing diapers. But you know what I won't be doing? Running around pretending to be the leader in my diaper. Stinking up the whole room with my liquidy McDonald's shits. Fillet of fish duty in the pants. I don't know, dude. Dude, there were people that said that Donald Trump has been shitting himself since like the late 80s. Like he's been a diaper wearer since the late 80s. You heard this? You ever had a fillet of fish? Nope. Nope. Not one time in my life, not once, have I walked into a McDonald's or driven through a McDonald's and gone like, you know what I want? A fillet of fish. Never happened. Never happened. You're wearing a diaper right now? Sick. Diaper gang. I want to be just like the president. Would you have rather had Kamala? No. Yeah, that is pretty fucking sad. Choosing to eat Long John Silver's, that's a good point. Yeah. Who does that, right? Who could possibly do that? You said in the debate that TJ Kirk and you have slightly separate perspectives on the electoral issues. What were those disagreements? Well, I mean, if you follow back TJ and I's kind of argument about it to 2022, we had a huge kind of blowout on the show. Not my proudest moment, not because I don't think I was right, but because I was pretty mean to a friend of mine over it. But I was very frustrated, catching a lot of shit from people for my perspective. And we had this whole argument that we refer to as the blue dragon, red dragon argument, right? It was basically the Democrats, you know, and the Republicans, blue dragon, the red dragon. Both of these dragons are destroying the planet and destroying the opportunity for working people to get ahead, right? And they both have to be slain. So how do we do that, right? And TJ's kind of prescription back then was we feed the blue dragon and have it beat the red dragon, right? And my contention at that point was, but you've just fed a dragon, right? It was basically just like, honestly, looking back on it, it was an anarchist kind of argument I was making. I was trying to ask him, like, at what point do we account for the malfeasance of the blue dragon, and at what point are we ourselves supporting the further degradation of humanity by propping up the blue dragon over and over and over again, right? And how different are the blue dragon and the red dragon when it comes down to it, right? That was the big, and we had a big, it sounds like a stupid thing to have a fucking blowout over, but we really did. No, we really did have a fucking major blowout over that. Now, at this point, I think that TJ and I's perspectives have moved closer. If I were to say, like, what's different about your and TJ's perspective, I think that TJ still sees value in participating in electoralism here, there, right? Especially on the national stage, if a good candidate comes along. And I'm just not even looking, right? I don't think there's much difference between those two positions, but you know what I mean? And that's without, you know, the giving TJ the benefit of giving his own position, right?
You done with your brekkie already, Big? You always want right back out after you eat.
Well, yeah. Got all that energy now. Got all that brekkie energy. You gotta get all fucking happy now. Where's your bow? Okay, you bring that? Because I want that bow. Get it.
Oh, that was almost nailing it
I
on
know.
the head. That was close. Gotta wait for the ball.
That's his fault. He takes off too quick. You don't want to share your ball no more. No, you don't want to share his ball. My dog heard ball and shot right out of bed. That's funny. Well, Trump launches mass deportations. Those are already happening in the country. And banning gender-related treatments. Would you change your perspective?
I mean,
No.
that's what states are already doing.
Right.
Like,
That's
Biden's
already happening.
not stopping it.
No, Biden did nothing to stop states banning gender-related treatments, and he continued mass deportations. He deported more people in his first 2 years than Trump did in 4. That's just a fact.
He closed the border. Trump couldn't do it.
Yep. He closed the border. Trump couldn't get it done. I mean, like, no.
They were campaigning on being stronger on the border than Trump.
Yep.
There was a whole ad on Kamala Harris's channel saying we're stronger on the border than Trump.
Yep.
They didn't mention trans issues once on the campaign trail.
And now a lot of the think tank people and the insiders that are kind of like doing the post-mortem are throwing trans people under the bus. One of the big takes that I've heard coming out of establishment Dems we leaned too hard into wokeism. Even though Kamala Harris didn't mention trans people one time on the campaign trail, they're retroactively blaming trans people. Why? Because they never cared about you in the first place. See how many of these people were like, you know what? I hope you get raped. You hope somebody gets raped? You voted for Donald Trump? I hope you get raped. Hope you get everything you voted for. It's like, you never cared, did you? Imagine that. Imagine saying you care about a person and that person goes,
I disagree with you.
I disagree with you and I don't want to be around you. Imagine that your whole shit changes, right? You never cared about that person in the first place. You cared about manipulating them into giving you what you wanted. See what I mean? So I hate to say it because I know that I've got quite a few trans folks on the wrench squad in here and that watch. You guys got played. You got played. What did they accomplish for you while they were in power?
They can serve in the military again. Oh boy.
You got played. You got used by a manipulative force, told you what you wanted to hear, and got you to believe that they cared. Look how much they care. My best friend has refused to talk to me since Trump won this election because I voted for Trump. Can I ask you a question? Why do you muddy your friendships with electoralism?
Like, why was it our business to say who
Why
we
did they
voted
need
for?
to know who you voted for? Or why did you bother telling them who you voted for? Try this. When somebody asks, hey man, who'd you vote for? Go like, none of your business. That's private. Right? And then you just move on from that. Like, why would you allow electoralism to get into your friendship? I don't know. Doesn't make sense. But I'm from a different time, so. I'm from a time where people would, people with profoundly different political ideologies could get together and just be friends outside of that shit,
If you're gonna
MJ, that is true. I'm sorry, baby. I just wanted to say, MJ, that is true. You have been a trans person who, from the few conversations that we've had about this type of shit, you have been saying that the fucking Dems are fucking Pied Pipering. Like, a lot of people bought it, though. I'm sorry, what were you saying, baby?
Oh, I was just saying, like, you can talk about politics without bringing party into it, too.
Mm-hmm. You can talk about your desired political outcomes without pretending that one of these fucking candidates is better than the other on it. You really can. You can talk about what you want in the world without throwing your fucking lot behind some stupid politician. Mm-hmm. We were trying to figure out, Pranav, who that was, like what that was, because somebody across the street from me has got some American muscle, and I can't tell. That's an 8, so that's a naturally aspirated V8. Just listening to the hit, that's an 8. But yeah, I hear that person do the cold start and then let it heat up. So he's got a big old 8, like straight 8. Isn't that beautiful? You can hear it. Right? I'm just wondering what that is over there. It could be a Charger. It could be a big truck, honestly. If he's got a big fat V8, could be a big old truck over there. I don't know what he's got, man. Sounds like muscle to me, though. Go ask him. Well, I don't even know which neighbor it is. That loud, like, sound carries in this neighborhood because it's in the flats. And so that could be all the way a fucking block over. I don't even know who's running that. I don't think it's like my next door neighbor. Yeah. But I do know this, dude. Big old American muscle is what is over there. I just don't know what kind of. It's big and it's old. I know that from listening to it and from how he treats it. Right, newer, fuel injected V8s and shit. You don't have to do this warm up shit. Right. What percentage of 80s guys that had a muscle car in the 80s do you think still have that car today? Probably not that many, man. Like a lot of people, like, because, like, it's a labor of love to keep an old car because they're expensive to work on. Parts can be fucking hard to find for them. You've got to put in a lot of fucking love to baby them and keep them going and shit. And I think a lot of people just like hit the wall with it and end up selling to a collector, right? Yeah, 10% probably.
Would you like some more coffee, baby?
I would. I would love another real coffee. Why isn't there V12 or V16? There is. Well, I don't know about the 16, but naturally aspirated V12s are what you're going to find in what they call hypercars, right? So the Pagani Zonda has a V12. Bugatti Chiron has an aspirated V12. These high-end, the new Lambo, I can't remember what the new Lambo is called, but that's got a big, fat, rear-mounted V12. Yeah, you get V12 diesels and older semis. Yeah, that's true. That's going to be a different type of engine, but not really. I mean, ultimately, you're putting that much power to the wheels, right? I don't know, man. Paul, can you answer the question I asked earlier? Let me check it out, blind programmer. Well, so some of it, I think Paul, is there a line that Republicans can cross that would change your views? Okay, so let me answer that question. If the Republicans cross a red line of mine, I will be looking to see if the Democrats follow them directly across it, right? So I have a number of red lines when it comes to who I will give my vote to, right? I talk about my opposition to war and war profiteering all the time. That's a red line, right? I didn't vote for the Republicans because of these red lines, right? Immigration is another red line for me. This is a personal experience thing, right? I grew up in the Central Valley of California in a town that, if you take into account the non-census taking migrant population, is something like 80-20, 80% Hispanic, 20% other, right? I grew up around people who were first generation, second generation immigrants. I grew up around people whose family members were not documented. I grew up around people whose parents were working in the fields and who learned English at their school, right? And do you want to know what I learned about those people? Being friends with them my whole life, being around them my whole life, working with them my whole life, living cheek by jowl with them my whole life. Do you want to know what I learned about those people? They're hardworking, decent, good people who just desperately want to provide for their fucking families like you do. That's what I learned. There's no difference between a Hispanic person and a white person. It's geography. Okay? So this saber rattling against the immigrant in a country that is nothing but immigrants is fucking wild. And it's a red line for me. So which party do I go to? keep in mind too, my position against war and war profiteering is not separate from my position on saber rattling against immigrants, right? What do you think has been the genesis of some of the most fucking egregious wars in modern history? How do you think they start? Let me give you a little hint. Otherizing people based on the color of their skin and not the content of their character. Otherizing people based on their fucking nationality or their religion, right? That leads to horrifying warfare. So, to answer your question, blind programmer, in full, both parties are already over my red line. You get it? Both parties are already over my red lines by a fucking country mile. I don't feel like I'm educating the chat. I'm here spouting straight out opinion. Not an educator. I'm not trying to educate the chat. We're having a conversation, right? At least we're trying to. Nobody really cares about the opinions of a guy who smokes weed all day and can't take. Like, why are there so many people in here watching me then, player? Why don't you fire up a stream and see how many people chill and watch fucking Juan Speak say a goddamn fucking thing, dude? Or Turtle Drone or whatever your fucking name. I can't remember which one of you said it. Why don't you pop in and tell me how many people are watching your fucking ass? Seems like quite a few people are fucking chilling in here, right? How many people you got watching your dumb fucking ass? Spouting nonsense. All right, Turtle Drone. It was Juan. Yeah. Why don't you tell him, chat? Why don't you help him out? Yeah. People are saying, like, chilling. That's what we're doing, right? Uh-oh. Cool, dude. I think I'm getting some Giuliani merch pretty soon. I think I've got a Giuliani sweater coming. That's what I feel like we do here, right? We're not always talking about serious stuff, but we're just chilling. I'm not trying to be Mr. fucking knows everything, right? I'm not trying to educate the chat. I'm here telling you what my opinion on this, that, and the other thing is. And we're chilling, right? I gotta go blow my nose. I'll be back. Ooh, ah. Yeah, I'll be. Goober. Sprinkle it with dew.
Yeah, Xiang is would like.
Shang. Jia is add. Wo yao jia neonai. Xie xie. And then here's the new one that I'm just starting to try and integrate. Ta yao jia neonai ma.
Yeah, would you like to?
Right,
Yeah, or would she like to?
right,
Or, yeah.
right. That was correct though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The ma at the end is basically just implying it's a question.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's certain words that imply questions too, like hi she is like this or that.
This or that. This or that. This or that. That's such a good song. Dude, I did 20 Pokemon the other day. It took me like 30 minutes of sitting here racking my fucking brain. But I was able to do it. But a lot of people were bitching because, hey, look, chat voted on it. But evolutions were allowed. So I was able to go like Pikachu, Raichu, right? In a lot of people's minds, those are the same Pokemon, just leveled up. So if I had to name individual Pokemons and only one evolution of the Pokemon counted, I don't think I could do 20.
Let me see how many I can do. So there's Mewtwo, Pikachu, Ghastly, Ghostly, Charizard.
It's tough, isn't it?
Bulbasaur.
Mm-hmm. You're at 5.
I think that's about it.
You weren't a big Pokemon fan, I'm guessing.
Not really.
Were you kind of into it though for a while?
I mean, I watched some of the stuff, and I ended up getting my brother's Pokemon cards.
Did you ever play it?
No.
No? You just kind of collected them?
Well, I just had his
You had
collection.
his collection. I know all 1,000 of them, so to me it's easy, but again, I'm a Pokemon master. Yeah. Yeah, see, for me, the thought experiment was interesting for me because I have literally never watched a single episode of Pokemon. I've never played the Pokemon card game or collected them, right? I wanted to see how many Pokemon can a person name just absorbing the natural Poke radiation from the internet.
But didn't you play Pokemon Go at one point?
I played Pokemon Snap.
Okay.
I never played Go, but I was helped out. My Weeaboo X played Go.
Mm-hmm.
And she was into this Pokemon, that Pokemon, and that. So that helped, right? But that was sheer radiation.
Mm-hmm.
That was not me going like, I want to learn about Pokemon. I just happened to be in the room with somebody who was talking about Pokemon. Or I went to a fucking website and somebody talked about a Pokemon, right? Just Poke radiation. You know, Pokemon is the most successful franchise of all time.
Yeah.
It's the most lucrative franchise of all time. Is that fucking nuts? Bigger than Star Wars, bigger than Mickey Mouse as a franchise. The merch is unstoppable. The whole psyche of it is unstoppable. The game behind the game is unstoppable. So, like, the sheer cultural radiation that a company that big, and they're just an entertainment company, too. A company that big puts out into the world, as a person who's like, I gotta be honest with you, my interest in Pokemon is pretty fucking minimal. Like I said, I watched Pokemon the movie, right, in order to make a review of it with TJ where we ripped on it, so that helped. But I've never seen an episode of the show, never played the game. Had I not wanted to make a review so I could rip on Pokemon, I never would have watched that, right? What do you think is the draw? I will tell you this, man. When I was a kid, I remember we loved monsters, man. Like, not necessarily like the old movie monsters, although those guys were cool. We loved little gross gremlin type monsters. I can remember having this like ball that I had, right? That had a face on it. He was all gross. There was like boogers coming out of his nose and like a big tongue, right? It was like a molded toy ball. And he was like, and you could collect, there was like 20 of these dudes, right? And I think I had one or two of them. And then you would, you know, your friends would have a different one. There was okay, I just landed on something that fucking is blowing my mind, bro. In the 80s, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with Garbage Pail Kids. Garbage Pail Kids, bro. Okay? These were like Pokemon cards. There was no game that was played with them. But as far as like collecting some weird little card, you know, it's like trading cards with weird little fucking dudes on it that were gross, and like you could collect the whole set, right? I was dead into that. And so I think it's just tapping into something that is already existent in kids. They like collecting shit, right? They like collecting stuff. They like gross, monstrous, kind of fun, battling things, right? So it was just like there was other stuff that you could really say has etymology with Pokemon. Like Voltron was huge when I was a kid, right? And the Ninja Turtles, right? How many collectible little action figures and shit, right? Mad Balls, that's what they were, bro. How did you remember that? That's crazy. Dude, that's a blast straight out of my ass, bro. Mad Balls. I never would have summoned that. I never would have summoned that, bro. But that is dead ass what they were called. That's crazy. Yeah, Transformers and like, dude, you guys are gonna make fun of me. Like, when I was a kid, I'm not saying I didn't watch Transformers and I didn't own some cool-ass fucking die-cast Transformers, because I did. But for my money, you wanted transforming robots? It was the GoBots, baby. I was a fucking unashamed GoBots enjoyer, all right? Unashamed GoBots enjoyer. Pokemon didn't teach that lesson. Pokemon just exploited that lesson, Hugs. Yeah, though, they had, trust me, the Ninja Turtles were picking my parents' pockets way before Pokemon was even a dream. The Ninja Turtles, the fucking Thundercats, G.I. Joe, Transformers, and Voltron, all them motherfuckers were picking my parents' pockets way before Pokemon. Way. Of course they do. Yeah, that's kind of a crazy thing. It's like because it was so ubiquitous in so many people's lives, it's held on in a way that none of these other franchises held on. You know, setting aside my critique and stuff, it really is true that like my mind doesn't immediately go to Ninja Turtles in the same way that a lot of y'all will immediately go to like a Pokey reference, right? It just didn't hang on through my teens. It's like the idea was I grew out of it, but it also wasn't the same thing, right? It was like there's this whole other layer to it that they added with Pokemon, the game behind it, right? Not just like you playing the card game, but the game that they play in the cartoon, right? Where they're battling each other. Did you ever watch that cartoon All Stars Drug PSA? Probably. Dude, I had a Teddy Ruxpin, bro. I had a Teddy Ruxpin, and it was kind of scary to me. I didn't like him much. We're just gonna nostalgia bomb Paul out with his childhood shit for a while. I'm cool with that. I don't know how interesting it is as a passerby to watch, but I'm fucking chilled sitting here talking about goddamn Pokemon analogs from the 80s, bro. Yeah, Teddy Rubskin was fucking gross, bro. Well, let me blow you guys' minds. So you could look this shit up, okay? You like Pokemon? There was a game that I played. I started playing it when I was 6 years old. This would have been in 1986 on the Commodore 64. You can look this shit up. It'll blow your mind. Called Mail Order Monsters, bro. Here's the sound. So that is lodged in my head, bro. And it is exactly what it sounds like. You are a dude who battles other dudes, not head to head, by recruiting a monster, training your monster, leveling up your monster, and beating the fuck out of the other guy's monster in a battle. This is 86. BattleBots is like 90s something, bro. We're talking 1986. Quite a bit later. They're both Tamagotchi ripoffs. People forget about the Tamagotchi. Maybe that was the key into your brains, was that Tamagotchi, man. I just missed that shit. I never had a Tamagotchi, but I think I was just a little too old for the Tamagotchi at that point. Oh no. You had to go barefaced, Pranob? You slipped and nicked your beard? Man. Yeah. I trimmed mine way back. Like every day I'm doing a little beard surgery as I'm trying to shaping this. I'm doing a little beard surgery every day. I took some length off today and shaped up. Oh yeah, send me a pic of that fresh face, bitch. Yeah, send me that naked face, Pranob. Show me your naked-faced shame. It looks better every stream. Like I said, dude, it's a process, right? I don't know exactly what the end thing is. Well, that's kind of what I want. I want to lean more into Civil War veteran and out of the Lemmy. So I think I'm going to have to take out some of this, right? And get up under it a little. I don't know, though. All right, he just sent it. Bro. Man, I am terrified of that, bro. I have a feeling, though, that this process... Because, you know what, dude? I'll keep this for a while. If I don't like it, if I can't get it to a point where I'm like, damn, that's exactly what I had in my mind, I'll shave the whole fucking thing and start again. It's just hair. The problem is, I don't want to see that, bro. It's not that bad. It's just... It's shocking, you know? It's shocking. Will the Raiders ever be good again? Let me let you in on a little fucking Raiders fan lore, okay? I don't care. And neither do most Raiders fans, bro. Yeah, will we like to win it? Sure. But if they're going to be losers forever, that don't change how we feel. Okay? It just is what it is. No, the IQ scale is a very rudimentary way of measuring generalized Western educational intelligence. It's a very limited tool. Nope. The where the Raiders go to a real Raiders fan has never mattered. It was cool when they were in Oakland, right? It was cool when they were in LA. It was cool when they went back to Oakland, right? And now it's cool they're in Vegas. I really don't give a fuck. I'm not a fan of a city. I'm a fan of the team and the philosophy behind the team. That little bit of Al Davis that still lives in the Raiders is the only reason I stay a fan, bro. I will tell you this, bro. Straight out, I hate the fucking Cowboys. Of course I do. I'm a Raiders fan. But I will tell you this. Cowboys fans will rep the Cowboys win, lose, or draw. Now, let me ask you this, Cowboys fan. What team do you... Because there's a couple of teams that I think that the fans got no fucking class, bro. They got absolutely no loyalty. They will come and go. There are two teams that pop in my mind. Two. Oilers. Get out of here. Dude, let me tell you, the least respectable fans in the world, I'm going to lay it to you. Yup, Patriots. Fair weather fans. 49ers. Nope, not the Eagles. The Eagles are on that list. They suck too. Panthers suck too. The 49ers, bro. Dude, a Niners fan doesn't even know what loyalty means, bro. A lot of these motherfuckers left over from that big old dynasty they had under Joe Montana in the fucking late 80s and early 90s. And then they just all ditched out. A lot of them went and became Patriots fans. And then when something cool happens with the Niners, they're Niners fans again. Fair weather fans. Fair weather fans. Yep. Joe Montana and Jerry Rice days live in their hearts, right? Fair weather fans. I win, lose, or draw, baby. I'm a Raiders fan. I got no choice. So I got respect for any other fandom, like within FUBA, non-political FUBA. I got respect for every group of people, even those dumbass cheeseheads, bro. And I hate a cheesehead. But you know what? I give them the respect of at least they fucking hang with their team. Win, lose, or draw. Oh, man, a Browns fan, bro? That's, you know what? Respect. Respect to that, dude. Because that's true. That's love there, dude. Do you know what happened to me, dude? Can I tell you a story of the one day that I tried to shake the foundation of my Raiders fandom? I got sick of the Raiders, man. I started getting into fantasy football with my friends, and I wanted to hump the Raiders, and I was just losing a lot because I was humping the Raiders on my fantasy team, and like I was like, fuck this, man. Why am I locked up? Why am I locked up in these Raiders, and all they do is lose? I'm gonna be the fan of another team. I'm gonna do what everybody else does. Fuck it. I'm gonna pick a good team. And right at that time, the Bengals were good. The Bengals were kind of good at this point. I think it was like early 2000s, right? And so I was like, fuck it. I'm a Bengals fan now. I didn't go buy the merch, right? I didn't. I just watched a game and rooted for the Bengals like a fan would. And it didn't even last until the first snap, because when they took the team, or when they took the field, right? When the team took the field, and I saw those booties jiggling in them tiger striped pants, I was like, hell no. I can't do this. I can't fucking look at that. I can't do this. And I was instantly just done. It didn't even last till a snap, bro. It was those tiger stripe Lululemon yoga pants that came running out in. Couldn't do it, bro. I couldn't do it, bro. I could not root for the Lululemons, bro. I couldn't do it. So I had to go right back. How to oil up, bro? What the fuck? Who are these people, yo? What was your first video game? The first game I ever remember playing was a game that my dad programmed. He took a game called Defender, which is an old, kind of really old, like early 80s arcade game where you played the role of like shooting down missiles before they took out your base. You can look it up, Defender. And my dad programmed a version of Defender that worked on the C64, and he made a custom like graphics library for it. And so that's the first video game, or no, is it Missile Command or Defender that I'm thinking of? It might be Missile Command. The one where you launch, okay, sorry. Missile Command. Yeah, you launch and the circles are like the explosive radius, and you got to catch the missiles, and you have limited amount of shots. Yeah. So Missile Command. Right. So that was probably the first video game I ever played. Was C64 Missile Command. And that would have probably been when I was 4. The first like actual release video game that I remember playing would be Cave of the Word Wizard on C64. That game is rent free in my head to this day, bro. Cave of the Word Wizard, and then we start getting into fucking mail order monsters. What else was big on that fucking C64 that I loved? Forbidden Forest, Beyond Forbidden Forest, Return to Forbidden Forest. That whole trio of games was just so fucking great. Oh, fuck. Oh, yeah, dude. I played Diablo 1 at release. It's still like a lot of times people will ask me like, what's your favorite video game of all time? I hate naming favorites, but if I had to fucking pick one, it's Diablo 1, bro. That first game, I know a lot of people love Diablo 2. For my money, dude, Diablo 1's the better game, but maybe I'm fucking crazy. I just love that game. So yeah, I like the Diablo franchise up to a point. It's unplayable now, though. The Beavis and Butthead game on Sega was a legendary game. Oh yeah, Beavis and Butthead on Sega. There was Toe Jam and Earl was kind of a cool game on the Sega. Dude, I loved the Genesis. The Genesis / Sega CD is still my favorite console of all time. Fight me, okay? I mean, the games on that were just crazy. So many great games. Road Rash is a game that, like, I played so many hours of Road Rash when I was a kid. That first like Road Rash and then Road Rash 2, but like mostly just the first one. That game was so fucking good, bro. Yeah, dude. I thought the Genesis, like, and a lot of people like would hate on it because the Super Nintendo had a super great sound chip in it. But like, yeah. Let's see if there's a, yeah, Battle of the Sound Chips. Okay. So, yeah, Sega Mega Drive / Genesis versus the SNES. So, let's see. Electronic music and remix. Okay, so this is Genesis. Streets of Rage 2, yeah. Okay, it's pretty good. Yeah, Streets of Rage 2. No, this is just Streets of Rage. Okay, so... Oh, shit. That breakdown is actually pretty important. Because it shows you the range. Little hi-hat. Real bit crushed hi-hat. I love it. So that's the typical, and this is a great track to use because that's like the typical Genesis sound coming out of their sound chip, right? Real like I mean, like you can hear that it cuts, right? Real sharp sound. And let's listen to the SNES here. And what are they going to play for the SNES? Let's see if we can figure out what they're playing. I mean, dude, both of these machines had a great sound chip, and if you look at it from a purely technical perspective, the SNES sound chip was capable of more than the Genesis one was, but the sound that specific Genesis chip had, the lows were so low, the highs were so sharp that to me, from my ear, the SNES sounds like muddy and muted in comparison. Would you ever talk about retro games and consoles with James Rolfe? Sure. Well, I mean, he and I are around the same age, I think. How old is James? He's got to be in his 40s, right? I'm 44. I think he and I were born right around the same time. He might be a year or two older or younger than me, one way or the other, but like, we basically had the same kind of childhood coming up through the 80s and the 90s, and we definitely had the same type of parents who just kind of let us bask in all of this different like movies and music and video games and all that stuff, right? It'd be an interesting he'd be an interesting dude to talk to about it, yeah, for sure. Horror movies, yeah. I just like talking to movie buffs, you know. We don't always spend a whole lot of time on it on our show, but I always love when either me and TJ or me and Scotty will get to like picking each other's brains about some movie. I'm a nerd for movies, so I just love if I'm a nerd for anything, it's film. So yeah, I love picking people's brains about movies. People that are like analyzers, like I am, you know. What's your favorite game soundtrack? Um, I mean, I hate to fucking say it, but it's one of the reasons why we were talking about it earlier. Just let me just play something for you. It just doesn't get better than that, dude. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely fucking right. There is one track in all of video game history, in my opinion, that even fucking competes with that, and I'll play that for you too. That synth. It just doesn't get better than that, dude. The ambiance is what I'm after, right? So that first piece of music that I played is the Tristram theme from Diablo 1. And you have to imagine yourself walking into a town that you're from, that you're used to being a bustling trade hub, and you see a bunch of corpses lining the road on the way there, and you show up and the town has been decimated. Most of the people are dead and gone. Only a few people remain, right? There's a fog and a pall over the town. The sun never really cuts through the trees, right? It's a dark kind of atmospheric experience. And that song puts me in that place, right? The same thing goes for UNATCO's theme, right? So that was the UNATCO theme from Deus Ex, the first Deus Ex. And that is a game about a kind of future dystopia where super soldiers are waging a secret war and people are kind of like fed media bullshit while this secret kind of cyber warfare bullshit is going on in the background, right? And UNATCO is this military intelligence organization, and it's high tech, bleeding edge, you know, and you get that feeling from that song, right? That you've just walked into somewhere you shouldn't be, right? Because it's super top secret. Oh, yeah. I mean, humans have been killing time with rudimentary games since well before we were human, right? Our closest non-human ancestors almost certainly played rudimentary games with one another, right? You can see that expressed in other mammals, right? Look how puppies and kittens will play games that are kind of like designed to hone their hunting ability, right? Rats. Apes, right? So games are just like, I think, an inherent part of the mammalian experience and maybe even the reptilian experience to a certain level, right? They serve a biological function. Swear to God, I've played a game with a jumping spider. Oh yeah, those little motherfuckers, they do this little display and they'll mirror you and shit. I've spent time with jumping spiders, bro. You're not lying. They're smart little fuckers. They do this little display thing where they'll put up two of their little hands in the front and go like this, and you can like look at them and go, and they'll go like, it's like, yeah, Dude, I fed one on stream one time, Layla. I was out killing flies with my fly gun, right? And a jumping spider came up on my table. I took the camera and I put it on and I grabbed a dead fly and I put it down there for him. And I'll be shitted if that little motherfucker didn't look right at me. Look at the fly, look right back at me, mosey over to it and eat that fly. I was like, could I have a pet jumping spider? Could I raise these little bastards? As a child, I accidentally killed a frog while trying to play with it. I still feel bad about it like 20 years later. Damn. I did worse than that as a kid, bro. Dude, I had a legit kind of like, dude, I have a memory of doing something that is wild, dude. It's wild. Whoa. Dude. There was a stagnant pond and it had a bunch of fucking frogs in it and tadpoles and shit, and the water was drying up, so there was way, like, there's just, everything was fighting for what, a tiny little bit of water. And me and my best friend were just we grabbed like handfuls of baby frogs and tadpoles and shit, threw them in a hole and buried them. Jeffrey Dahmer moment, bro. It's crazy. Yeah. Pretty fucked up. It's weird because it's just like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen me, but like, yeah, the other day a fucking ladybug landed on me and I escorted that little tiny motherfucker all the way over to a leaf rather than flick it or risk hurting it by picking it up. You know? I'm a very gentle person by nature. And the idea of me, you know, just like grabbing handfuls of baby frogs and throwing them in a hole and burying them all alive is wild. But I remember doing it. You know, I was probably like 5 or 6 years old. And it's an early memory of mine, right? And those, like, you get to my age, you'll understand what happens to those, right? They become part reality, part fantasy. It's true. Like, that's how memory works, right? It's not like a snapshot, at least not for most people. Some people do have a photographic memory, right? But for most people, especially when you're talking about distant memory, all right, memories from when you were a baby or not a baby. Most people can't remember being a baby, but I'm talking baby in general. Like, you're a toddler, you're a fucking, 5 or 6. Right. That's usually 5, 6, 7 is usually the earliest somebody my age can summon a memory from, right? And I'm around in there. I think I have maybe a memory from prior to that, but it's just a very, very, very clear but minimal snapshot of time, right? And what happens to memory from that far back, right? Is not, your brain hasn't stored the entire event. Not detail for detail, right? And so what happens is when you summon up an old memory like that, you have a few things that you remember, right? But your brain just fills in the rest, right? So it's kind of like a facsimile of what actually happened, right? And it really starts to become apparent as you get older. Terrence Howard say on Rogan he remembered being born. Yeah, that's retarded. Although you know what, dude? I have a wild, and see, this just goes to show you how fucking crazy memory is, right? My parents had a house built while my mother was pregnant with me, right? And so, like, 3-4 months along into my gestation, my parents are walking around looking at what would become our house. They're putting up the fucking wood framing, and they've leveled out the land, and they're pouring the cement for the driveway, and they're this, that, right? I shit you not. Now, I wasn't born until that house was complete. That house was complete from a couple of months before I was born, and they were already living in it. So I should have literally no memories of that. But I'm telling you, I fucking swear to you, I have this sharp, and this would be a memory from before being born. I had this sharp, fucking clear as day memory of walking around that house as it was being built. This can't be true, right? Unless the interconnectedness of the body of a fetus and the mother as it's gestating is misunderstood, in that the mother can convey experiences to that fetus, right? We already know that stress on a mother can have a profound effect on the development of a fetus, right? Emotional distress in a mother can have a profound effect on a fetus's development. What about emotional bliss? My mother being so happy watching her dream home being built as her first child was growing inside of her. What if that blissful feeling transferred to me during a time of my neural development, right? And that's what that memory is. It's like a fetal memory, right? I doubt it. But it is fucking crazy. I'm not lying to you when I say that I have this fucking insanely clear memory of watching that house go up. Being on the site of the house that, quite frankly, I shouldn't even remember for the first 2 years of my life. Emotional memory. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Well, my mom, I've talked to her about this. And the one thing that that impressed upon me when she was describing exactly what I'm talking about having a memory of was how overjoyed she was, because she grew up in a trailer. You know what I mean? My mom grew up in a trailer and worse. And so to be pregnant with her first child and building her dream home, she said that it was, one of the happiest moments of her life. Her whole future was ahead of her, right? And so, like, how, if extreme moments of stress and distress and trauma on a mother can have a profound effect on on the fetus's development, what would the overload of joy for months as she watched this beautiful house being built have done to me while I was being gestated, right? It's an interesting question. I don't know that maybe there is a neurological answer to it. I'm not a fucking expert on any of that. Genetic memory. I don't even fucking know, bro. That's out of my pay grade. I'm just telling you, like, my thoughts surrounding that experience, right? For me, from my perspective. Humans are helpless as babies for the longest time in nature. Wild animals have to grow up quick if they want to survive. Yeah. Well, it's one of the trade-offs, right? So from my understanding, the reason why our babies are so helpless is because of our heads, right? Our brains are so oversized given the rest of our body that gestating us longer inside of the mother would kill our mothers. And so the trade-off is we're born kind of partially cooked and have to be raised out in the real world. But it requires constant attention, right? It's going to be a year or more before your baby can even crawl. So it's a trade-off for our huge oversized brain, basically, is that it would kill our mothers and us to be squeezed out of a small birth canal. And so we have to be born way earlier. You feel like an old soul? I don't even know what the fuck that is, man. I kind of get what you mean by old soul. I don't feel like an old soul. From what I understand that to mean. The only point of evolution to survive and reproduce in nature, Paul? Well, there's no point to evolution. Evolution is a natural process, right? It's called evolution by natural selection if you expand it out, right? To its proper name. Evolution by natural selection is a process. That doesn't have a point, right? Yeah, some kids fucking get up and start running around way earlier than you expect. 18 months, walking and running, tries to climb upstairs. Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it. I didn't walk. I wasn't like late to walking, but I started toddling around at 1 or 1.5, you know what I mean? But I started reading at like 3. My parents would read books to me constantly, and they started letting me babble along with it. By the time I was 3, I was sounding words out and shit, and speaking sentences and stuff. Dude, there's a wild tape. I'm gonna ask my mom if she can find it. It's me at, I think it's something like 10 months old or 11 months old. So I'm not even quite a year. And I'm singing Jesus Loves Me, This I Know, for the Bible Tells Me So. It's fucking wild. My 3-year-old is learning to write letters. Yep. Some kids, and I'm telling you, man, if you give a boost to your kid in anything, make it reading, writing, and communication, man. You don't got to be a math whiz to raise a fucking brilliant kid. You give them the fucking ability to, maneuver through social situations, and you've set your kid up for success right there. Yep. Yeah, alphabet, writing, learning to sound out words. You know what I mean? Like just that, like phonics is what they call that, right? At, cat. You know, d, o, g, d, o, g, dog. Right? Is it up to humans to protect animals, habitats, and homes out in nature and the dominant and great? Yes, but we're not going to do that. You guys on DFF got more through 2.5. I'm sorry, dude. I'm trying. Got me through 2.5 years of homelessness. I call it slow motion living hell for a reason. Yeah, dude. I'm sorry that you went through that, but I'm glad you're out the other end of it. No, it's all good, dude. I figured it out. I know a typo when I sees one. Oh, goodness. Oh, man. Well, I got shit to do. Make sure you join us on Onion Nuggets tonight, ladies and gentlemen, for your little taste tester of the horrible, grueling Ben Shapiro gauntlet that will be for patrons and members only.